let's get to our first email of the day. And our first email today comes to us from Terry Mcginty, who writes, "Hi, John. Okay, so my favorite video game series of all time is Uncharted. We haven't heard anything about the movie version in a while, and then I read tonight that the director from Cloverfield Lane, that's actually 10 Cloverfield Lane, is going to direct it now instead of Shawn Levy. Do you think this is a good move, and how do you think this movie version of Uncharted is shaping up? Thanks." Robert, they did announce that Dan Trachtenberg, I've always never pronounced his name right, but anyway, the guy who directed 10 Cloverfield Lane did a really good job on that movie.
I love that movie.
He's now coming on board in place of a Shawn Levy to direct it, which tells us, hey, there's still life in this thing. It is still moving forward. Tom Holland, speaking of Spider-Man, is going to be our Nathan Drake in this thing. What are your responses to this story?
Well, first of all, I'm with Terry. I love the Uncharted game franchise. I remember the first Uncharted was the very first video game I ever sat down and played all the way through to the end without, I think I got up for a few bathroom breaks. I was so entranced by this game. It was the closest thing to playing a movie at the time I'd ever experienced. It was almost 10 years ago. But it was, what a phenomenal franchise. So I can't wait to see what they do. And all the games have been great.
Yeah.
And the gameplay was always great. I love the characterizations. It's one of the greatest games for presenting characters. The voice acting is terrific. I love the supporting cast as well. I'm really excited. If they pull this off, it could be it could be the new Indiana Jones franchise, if, something akin to Raiders. Let's hope it's more like Raiders and less like Tomb Raider. And I'm excited. I can't wait to see this movie. Bring it on.
What's interesting is the last Uncharted game, if you don't count the spin-off one with the two female characters came out, was A Thief's End. And in that one, they gave us a glimpse of a younger Nathan Drake, the with him and his brother and stuff like that. And I'm assuming, I'm just assuming at this point, I'm not claiming insider information. I'm assuming that's kind of the direction they're going with Tom Holland. Otherwise, like, why don't you go with a Chris Pratt or a Bradley Cooper or something along those lines? I got to tell you, though, I was very intrigued with the Shawn Levy addition as the director at the time. He directed a little film. Like, today we all talk about Stranger Things.
Right.
Sure, he's the producer of Stranger Things. He directed a bunch of the episodes of Stranger Things. Absolutely, I understand that. And a lot of people think of him, they think of Night in the Museum. And I'll tell you what, he directed this great little movie that does not get enough people talking about, and that's Real Steel. He did with Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
That movie was great. Talk about what looked like a stupid little throwaway nothing movie. That movie was great, and I was really intrigued to see him. However, Shawn Levy, I don't think there's any drama here with him leaving. Shawn Levy's schedule is just too booked. He's got a movie coming up called Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds, where Ryan Reynolds plays a bank teller who discovers he's just a character in a video game. So he's got that coming up. So they're either going to have to wait on doing Uncharted,
right?
But then he's got another movie he's connected, Jeff Bridges' Starman. He's doing a remake of Starman. So that's already also lined up, not just to produce, to direct. Then he's got a third one called Crater. I believe it's called Crater or Carter, one of the two. Anyway, that's about a kid who lives on a lunar mining colony. He's got 3 films he's supposed to be directing already lined up into motion, and I have a feeling that normally when we hear we parted ways due to schedule conflicts, normally I think that's BS.
Right.
In this particular situation, I think it's probably true.
Speaking of that, did you see the creepy trailer they dropped for Stranger Things 3?
I did not.
With the Dick Clark New Year's Rockin' Eve, the ball is dropping,
No.
but then it gets interrupted by some strange signal. I love, ever since John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness with the strange signals that were invading people's dreams, give me a weird signal that's intercutting with a television broadcast someone's watching. I love that. That's one of my favorite movie tropes give me a weird intercept signal from some strange laboratory. I'm in. And that's what they did. The
coolest thing to me here, though, yes, the addition of Dan is nice because, like I said, he did a really good job with 10 Cloverfield Lane. But to me, the most exciting part of this is, there is still life in this thing.
Right.
They are still moving because eventually you go here without hearing anything for so long, you start to wonder if it got scrapped. Apparently, they're still moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think, again, the Uncharted franchise is so rich and so much fun. And the characters, the thing about the franchise is the characters are so great. And that's what makes movies anyway. To me, it's characters and story. It's always characters and story. It's not a franchise until you have characters and great stories.